Donald Trump was sworn in as the 47th President of the United States in January 2025, a result that many did not anticipate, but one that a Catholic hermit had already foreseen back in 1983. Tom Zimmer, known as the Hermit of Loreto, was a devout American Catholic who lived near the sanctuary of Loreto in Italy, dedicating his life to prayer and penance. In 1983, Zimmer declared, "The man who will lead our country back to God in the future is Donald Trump." He added, "God is going to use him." Zimmer was so convinced of Trump's important role that he donated a brick inscribed with the name Donald J. Trump to be placed in the Holy Door of the Vatican after the Holy Year of 1983. This act is significant because, during a holy year, the Holy Door is opened. At the end of the year, it is sealed with a brick wall until the next Holy Year, which was in 2000. Zimmer did this to ensure that masses at the Vatican would be offered for Trump, believing that one day he would become a great leader of America and guide its people back to God. Today, we see Trump committed to defending Christians, and we must recognize that his presidency is part of God's plan. However, as we will explore, this era may not last long, as other prophecies suggest. Benjamin Solari Paravicini, a mystic and painter known as the Argentine Nostradamus, had visions in which he sketched images accompanied by prophetic texts. His so-called psychographs predicted numerous major world events, including the moon landing, the 9/11 attacks, and the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. For our analysis, we will focus on a psychograph he created in 1938, where he wrote, "The beginning of the end. The one-man band of North America will be killed." The accompanying image depicts a string instrument and what appears to be a pierced ear. Paravicini scholars identify Trump as the one-man band, interpreting the ear in the drawing as a reference to the location where he was wounded in the assassination attempt on July 13, 2024. However, they argue that he did not die because the prophesied assassination is meant to occur during his second term, which is now underway. This interpretation is reinforced by another psychograph from 1940, in which Paravicini again warns of an assassination and its dire consequences for the United States. He wrote, "North America will receive the fatal shot. A political crime will bring about a change in direction, causing instability and endangering its freedom." While the drawing allows for multiple interpretations, it suggests that Paravicini foresaw an assassination attempt on Trump during his second term, leading to the downfall of the United States. These future events align with warnings given by the Virgin Mary in various apparitions about the end times, foretelling a global crisis encompassing economic, social, and political turmoil. In the apparitions of La Salette, the Virgin Mary warned of a societal collapse, including a major economic crisis that would impoverish many nations. In Garabandal, the seers mentioned that before the warning, there would be a severe economic crisis. People would struggle to buy food and meet basic needs. Some believe this points to a global recession or financial system collapse. In Akita, the message given to Sister Agnes Sasagawa mentioned that humanity would suffer terrible trials and experience severe disorder. Some interpret this as an economic crisis leading to famine and uprisings. In 1956, the Virgin Mary appeared under the title of Our Lady of America to Sister Mildred Newsel in Indiana. These apparitions repeatedly emphasized the call to purity, stating that peace in the U.S. was dependent on its moral integrity. She warned, unless the United States faithfully carries out the mandate given by heaven to lead the world to peace, the nation and all people will suffer the devastating consequences of war and incredible suffering. Since this mandate has not been fulfilled, the downfall of the U.S. appears imminent. This idea is also supported by the prophecies of Saint Hildegard of Bingen, a German Benedictine nun, mystic, writer, composer, healer, and philosopher. Recognized for her prophetic visions, knowledge of natural medicine, and sacred music, she was one of the most influential figures of the 12th century and was declared a doctor of the Church in 2012. Hildegard's mystical visions encompass the events of salvation history from creation to the end times, written in 35 visions. One of these eras she called the Age of the Grey Wolf, which some contemporary scholars interpret as equivalent to the end times. This period, she suggested, would begin with a significant decline of the United States as a global power. This decline, they argue, would be marked by political and social upheaval, as well as increasing persecution of Christians. Extreme political polarization between conservatives and progressives, coupled with racial and cultural tensions, along with the severe economic crisis foretold in various visions and Marian apparitions, would ignite the spark of social unrest, which in the U.S. will take the form of a long-brewing civil war. However, a Second American Civil War would not resemble the 1861 conflict, which was primarily territorial between states. Instead, it would be a fragmented and asymmetrical struggle, with factions fighting within the same states and cities. There would be no clear battle lines, but rather ideological and regional coalitions with different interests. Autonomous zones, urban guerrillas, paramilitary groups, and criminal gangs would emerge, taking control of certain areas amid the chaos. The consequences of such a conflict would be devastating, potentially fracturing the nation into opposing blocs. Regardless of the outcome, a second civil war would mean the end of the United States as we know it today, completely reshaping the geopolitical landscape and triggering new events foretold in prophecies and Marian apparitions. On the international stage, it is highly likely that alliances such as NATO would become inoperative due to deep political divisions, and European nations would be suffering their own crises and internal conflicts, as we have analyzed in other discussions. Meanwhile, global competitors like China and Russia, having remained politically stable, could seize the crisis as an opportunity to advance their own strategic goals. Numerous prophecies indicate that Russia would use this moment to launch an invasion of Europe. The German Catholic seer Alois Erlmeyer, known for his end-times prophecies, predicted that the Yellow Dragon, interpreted as China, would attack Alaska and Canada, though without advancing far. Most prophecies indicate that the world will eventually spiral into a global conflict, one that could be classified as a world war. We will explore these prophecies in future discussions. As part of our efforts to respond to these times, we are actively working on a refuge project in Garabandal, preparing a place of faith, protection, and prayer for those seeking to remain close to God. Together, we can build a network of faith and support to face the coming trials with hope and trust in God's providence. God always offers us the opportunity to alter the course of events through conversion, prayer, and penance. Even if the outlook seems daunting, we must not be afraid, for the Lord watches over His people and will guide us through every tribulation.